All right.
Hello, this is Roy Gillis, Centex Sports Talk. I'm here with my co-host Jalen Gillis. And when we come back, we're going to go inside Central Texas sports. And we have someone that's been through the whole gamut of Central Texas sports when we come back.
Hello, welcome back to Centex Sports Network and welcome to Centex Sports Talk. I am Jalen Gillis here with co-host Roy Gillis. And we have a very, very special guest in the house today. Somebody I consider family still, go a long way back, just a lot of family ties, good family friend. Also former Baylor football player, former Midway football player. And we are getting ready to talk to Mr. Levi Norwood in the building today. Levi, what's going on, bro?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, you having me.
Well, Mr. Norwood, so glad to have you on the show today. You have a breadth of knowledge of sports in Central Texas. I tell people all the time, Central Texas sports is a little bit different, and especially when it comes to football. We're a little crazy when it comes to football in Central Texas, and you have been all the way through the gamut, so to speak. You know, you've done some high school football here, you've done some college football here, and I know you had some experience in the NFL. So I guess the first thing I want to talk to you about is what is it like football in Central Texas? Because I know you moved in, you actually moved into Texas. Mm-hmm. What is it like comparing it to where you came from?
It's different. I moved down here from Pennsylvania in 2008, and I mean, I came down here thinking Pennsylvania high school football is big, and it is big when you compare it to other states. But Texas high school football and Central Texas high school football is a whole different thing. The biggest thing that made me realize it was different was moving down here and having football class instead of PE, instead of basketball. I had last period of the day, I was going to football class, and I was getting
that's 7th period. Was that 7th?
Yeah, 7th period. Yeah. I had no idea what was going on, and then I didn't have to go out and buy my own cleats. They had cleats for me.
They had funding. Now that's because Levi, you were over at Midway, and the budget at Midway is pretty decent, and so that was a little bit different than maybe some schools. But so you could see that it was a lot more emphasis put in on that whole athletic experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was it like, kind of just coming down? Really, like you said, tell us a little bit, I guess, how you got to the Central Texas area. I know you guys moved down here with your dad, but tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Moving down with my dad, was coaching at Penn State with Joe Paterno, and then took a job with Coach Browse when Coach Browse came here as a head coach. And so we moved down here. It's something we were used to, bouncing around all over the country wherever my dad was coaching. So came down here in 10th grade, knew nothing about Baylor, nothing about Waco, and here I am. Shoot, 12 years later. I'm moved around a few times, but back in Waco for the time being, at least.
Hey, so your family, y'all kind of like a sports, not just football, but sports family. Your father played football in Hawaii, I think it was.
Yep.
You've got one of Jalen's friends, your younger brother played basketball, and I think you got another brother that plays overseas, another basketball player.
Yeah, a brother, Gabe's still playing. He's out in the Philippines. He's been there since 2007. And then Jordan, two older brothers, and Gabe's out in the Philippines. Jordan retired 2 or 3 years ago from the Broncos. And so sports definitely runs in the family.
So what's it like, man, growing up in this this sports juggernaut family? Everybody, I imagine your sister and your mom are probably good athletes as well.
Yeah. My sister dance, and I mean, in my mind, that's a sport too. And so has dance all throughout college, and so that part with my mom and my sister doing that, and then growing up, it was a lot of basketball in the basement when we were younger, and then up in Pennsylvania when it snowed, we have our annual snow football game.
Wow.
It was always sports.
So this was the Norwood clan getting outside and playing that outdoor, some outdoor football in the snow.
Yep. Always excited for us to get together too, so we can go play pickup and put our own little team together.
And you actually had, before we get to talking about the Baylor football stint, you had a short stint actually playing basketball with Baylor, because I know that you can actually hoop. Yeah, Levi could actually hoop for real, and he played his freshman year at Baylor for a short time there.
For a short time is correct. I played for 2 minutes and I got 1 career point. So I hold that point proudly for sure.
So now diving into, now you've got your chance to come down to Midway. Like you said, you moved down here, just a totally different experience. And now you're at Baylor University, and your career there was during what I like to talk, or what I call the glory days of Baylor football, at least from my perspective. I think you guys had, the most winningest time in a couple of those years there. You ended up getting a couple Big 12 titles there. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Man, it was awesome. Going there my freshman year, and Baylor hadn't been to a bowl game, I think, in 14 years. And redshirt as a freshman, but even that year, go to the Texas Bowl. And then from that point on, went to a bowl game. I went to 5 bowl games, and I think my class was the winningest class in Baylor history.
Mm-hmm.
At least up to that point. I'm not sure if it still is, but it was exciting times for sure. And then obviously, like you said, winning 2 Big 12 championships. Unfortunately, we didn't close those seasons how we wish we could have, but definitely some of my
you definitely got a chance to go along for the ride, though. I mean, that's you can't take those experiences back. So I'm trying to remember when you came in, when you got to Baylor, was that at the beginning of the Browse era, or had he already been here?
He had been there. That was my freshman year. Was a 2010 season. I redshirted, and their first season was 2008.
Okay. So that was a big turnaround, because for those of us that have been around Waco, we remember when they couldn't give tickets away. You know, hey, you want to go to a Baylor game? No. And and that went from that to season ticket holders and incredible coverage. I think Baylor got some very good coverage and some great games. We got a chance to see you play in, and I know you were all conference punt return. You had accolades as wide receiver. What was it like, man, in that particular offense where it's kind of wide open and a lot of passing, and then the punt return deal? These are you got to be kind of fearless, man. You know, no regard for your well-being and safety doing those kind of things. What was it like playing receiver in that offense?
It was awesome. Throwing the ball around that much. And for me, I wasn't ever the first option, but was still ending seasons with 40 catches. And that's what some schools, you go to the Big Ten and the leading receiver might have 40 catches on the year.
Yeah.
Maybe 4th or 5th. And so every game knew I was going to get the ball. And that's all you want as a receiver. You play receiver because you want the ball.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And the follow-up, who were the quarterbacks? What quarterbacks did you play with?
So my freshman year on the field playing was Griff. And so I was his Heisman year 2011. And then it was Nick Florence 2012. And then Bryce Petty 2013 and 14 with Seth Russell sprinkled in whenever Bryce had the couple injuries he had.
And I guess we kind of forget sometimes Florence. Florence had a successful season.
Yeah.
And they had a successful season. He kind of like rode out into the sunset, man. So you had a good time playing receiver in that offense. That punt return deal, man. I never wanted to even try to be a punt returner, because you're watching the ball and you're gonna get smashed as soon. If you don't fair catch, it's like, So what was that like playing punt returner? How'd you get put in that job?
See, that since I started playing football, I think the first touchdown I ever scored in Pee Wee football in Pennsylvania was a punt return.
Really?
Wow.
Our first tackle touchdown I scored was a punt return. And I've always thought people make it sound like it's a dangerous, hard job, but I think it's the easiest job. All you gotta do is catch the ball.
Oh, okay.
You gotta do is catch the ball. If you want to get hit, all I gotta do is wave my hand and I'm fine. But catch the ball, and then as long as you get the ball back to the offense, you're fine. And so for me, it was catch the ball and then don't get tackled. Try hard not to get tackled. It was as simple as that. I didn't think about it any more than that.
One more follow-up, Jalen. Hold on. I got to ask him about this. So you played your Roberts senior year. That was the Heisman year. One memory I have in my mind is the touchdown that he throws to the kid from went to the Cowboys at Terrence.
Yeah, Terrence Williams.
That touchdown, y'all, it was a week game. If I remember correctly, it was a Thursday night game maybe. And that kind of took Baylor to a whole nother level of, I guess, that was a national game. Man, what was it like being on the field that night? I'm sure you probably remember that.
Yeah, I remember that clearly. I thought I was open, but I we get back in the film, I wasn't open. I definitely wasn't in the end zone. Ain't gonna win the game. But just how many people were there, because I had been in 2008 and 9, I had been to Ford Casey and seen Nebraska come and pretty much sell out the stadium in red. Yeah. And so to see that change 3 years later, and it was everyone was in black that game, and
it was a blackout game, sure was.
In that manner, and then ended up being Griff's Heisman moment. It was awesome to be a part of that.
Yeah, that was I got to be on the field that night too, because everyone stormed the field, and we definitely all jumped the rail and stormed the field after that. So I remember that game as well, and a lot of those memories. And one of the things I can think about, well, two of the memories I have is one of them. Levi said when you don't want to get hit as a punt returner, just wave your hand. And Levi probably caught the ball like twice, maybe. I think he tried to take every punt, at least for the games that I was at. He tried to take about every punt. That's probably why he's top 10 in all those punt categories at Baylor, because of that. And two, just the amount of talent that was in the wide receiver room. I want to talk about that, just the different guys you got to see, like you just named, Terrence Williams, guys like Kendall Wright, Josh Gordon for a time. You had Antoine Goodley there. You had Corey Coleman. Yeah. Katie Cannon for a stint. I think that would maybe be your senior year when Katie Cannon came. But just all those different guys. Tell us what it was like just in those practices and in those locker rooms.
It was always fun. Always fun. Always. I wasn't a big trash talker, but listening to guys talk trash on the field, because we knew we were going to put up points and put up yards on teams. And so it's exciting watching them take the top off the defenses and do that for the 5 years I was there. It was awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jalen.
No, you can go ahead.
You mentioned trash talking. So since you brought it up, CU and those rivalry games between Baylor and TCU, it was almost like you guys was ready to, to throw down before the game even started. What was that rivalry like?
I think it started with Coach and Coach Patterson, because they always had their little rivalry between those two, and so that fed into the team. And I mean, you saw it. I can't remember what game it was. I think that Orion got kicked out. It may have been Ahmad.
Yeah, I think Ahmad got kicked out.
but it was always heated, and they're always great games. Except I think 2010 when they had. Hopefully he'll be reinstated soon, and you'll see more of that. But in my mind, is from a freak athlete standpoint and someone who can high point the ball and run by you, that it was Josh, and then Kendall obviously just making people miss, and I think he had a streak of crazy amount of games with the catch. But, yeah.
So I want to talk about, I think this is maybe your junior year. You guys, the first time winning the Big 12 championship. I remember the game. It was against Texas. I believe it's freezing cold outside. It's raining. I still remember it was like dark outside, but just the energy there of how everyone felt knowing that this was going to be Baylor's first Big 12 title, and just cementing a great year. That year was, I think, at least one of my most fun years watching Baylor football and getting to go to some of the games because of your dad. It was just crazy being able to see just the atmosphere that Baylor had. Tell us a little bit about that night.
That night and that year really was, in my mind, I think probably the best team that I've seen while I was there or since. Just the amount of times we had, and then that game, I felt like I don't think there's ever a point before the game or any point during the game where we thought that we were going to lose the game.
No.
And just knowing from the energy around the stadium and what was on the line, and just the last game in Floyd Casey and all those things, like there wasn't any way that we felt like we were going to lose that game.
Wow, big! You had a lot of big changes in the atmosphere at Baylor from probably when you moved to town. You guys turned into like Waco rock stars. Everybody knows the players on Baylor team, and you make tremendous impact there too. When you think about your best games, you talk about these other receivers. Tell me about your experience in a game that you will never forget, that you made a huge impact in.
My favorite game, I feel like all my best games were always when we played Tech in Cowboy Stadium. And my junior year, the best game I had by far, I ran a punt back and had 2 receiving touchdowns. And I think at one point when I scored one of those touchdowns, maybe it was a punt return, we were down and it kind of turned the game around. And so that was definitely the biggest game of my, I feel like, athletic career.
That was huge. And I'm trying to think, maybe it was the first year you guys went to a bowl game, or the second year. You had some losses at the beginning of the season, and then you go on this tremendous run.
Yeah.
What was Coach Briles? Because I remember I was like, well, we'll just wait for next year, as a fan, But you guys go on this tremendous run. What was that like, and what did he do to help you guys turn around?
I don't think he did a whole lot different than what I think that may have been Griff's Heisman year that we lost a few in a row, and people around town were starting to hear the same old Baylor stuff, and I think for Coach Briles and for us, that was motivation enough to know that wasn't who we were or what was going to happen with the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think that was Robert Griffin's Heisman year, and like you said, I just remember the talk being like, oh, it's going to be same old Baylor, and after that season, I don't remember really getting that feeling ever again until Briles ended up leaving, just because you knew the caliber of players that Baylor had, and the numbers you guys are putting up was just crazy. And you talked a little bit about the Tech game. Was Mahomes there in that game yet? I don't remember if he was there at the end of your years or after you were there.
The next year, I'm pretty sure.
The next year? Okay.
2014, okay. I think was his. I think he was there.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the next year. So we talked about a lot of your stuff on the field with Baylor, but off the field, you got to make an impact at Baylor as well, doing different things. I know you were on a few of the all academic teams, but I remember just from personally remember you times I'd be at you guys' house and remember you being gone because you were on these mission trips. Tell us a little bit about some of the mission trips and what you guys did and where you guys got to go.
Yeah, so while I was there, we had an athletic chaplain named Wes Urey, and with our sport ministry team, we would go on mission trips at the end of the school year. So in May, my sophomore and junior year went to Africa. So the first year was Kenya, and then the second year was spending a week in Zambia, and then the second week in Kenya. And so all that was sharing the gospel with kids there in Africa and playing sports with them, and mostly basketball and soccer, a little bit of volleyball, and then would pull out an American football and they'd have no idea what they were. But it was a lot of fun just going out there and experiencing that, and just the joy that they had there.
So now you've gone through this great, tremendous college career. You did have some experience. You did take your shot in the NFL as well.
Yeah.
So tell us about you got all of these things in your pedigree. What are you doing now, and what's happening with Levi?
So right now I'm the chapter success manager for Uplifting Athletes, and that is a nonprofit who uses the power of sport to empower the rare disease community with hope. And so I got involved with that in college. I started a chapter at Baylor where we raised awareness for rare diseases, and at that time it was specifically cerebral palsy. There's a young man who was at Midway at the time who had cerebral palsy, and became friends with him and his family. And so started in his honor, and there's still a chapter there now. And now I'm working full time for the national organization.
That's the Burks young man, is that right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a man.
So go ahead, Jalen. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just with all of these different things, like you said, that you are working on now and that you've got to work on, what do you think the next step for you is, if you could say?
I think for me, it's continuing to do what I'm doing with Uplifting Athletes. It's something I really enjoy doing. Would love to build something here in Waco with the young receivers that are in Waco. I think there's a lot of up and coming talent, and that's just from me seeing in Central Texas football, like you guys said, and trying to build exposure for receivers here in Waco, and would love to start training guys. But hopefully that's next. We'll see. Moved around a lot, so we'll see how long I'm here. But enjoying what I'm doing right now.
So I'm sure you've got a chance to see. We've got a new regime at Baylor now. We've got a new head coach. You got a chance to see them on the field a little bit. Tell me about what you think about what you see at Baylor right now. Of course, they've lost some games this year. Yeah. This year's 2020, so it's a completely different kind of deal. But tell us about what you have been able to witness so far.
Exactly what you said. This 2020 is weird. They spent a week and a half, 2 weeks where they weren't allowed to practice, and so it's hard to say with their record if that's really who they are. And I don't think it is. They have some playmakers at receiver that they always have had. You saw guys on the number one play on SportsCenter this week, pitches, and so there's players there. And with a new coach, it always takes some time to get adjusted.
Yeah, so I think that's all. But you can close it out. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Levi, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Great career, man. Great career, and we're excited to see what happens next. I just believe that with athletes and former athletes, passion really drives them. And if you can find something that you're passionate about, we know you're going to be successful at it. And we'll be keeping up with you, man. You made a tremendous career. You was part of a big turnaround here in Baylor. People even bought Baylor shirts, jerseys. Before you got here, you had to be a Baylor alum to wear a Baylor jersey. But as I look across the landscape now, I see young kids wearing Baylor stuff. Yeah. So you are part of a tremendous turnaround, and we wish you well. And hope you'll stop in and keep us posted on what you got going on, so that we might be of support to it.
Yeah, I will for sure. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right. We'll see you soon, Levi.
Take it easy.
Well, there you have it. Jalen, Mr. Levi Norwood stopping in and talking to us. When we come back, we're going to talk about what Levi talked about and about some other things happening in Central Texas right after this word from one of our sponsors.
TF&B, your bank for life. Now open in East Waco. There has not been a bank or financial institution in East Waco in over 100 years. People of the East Waco community have had to go outside of their community for something as simple as banking needs.
So now they have that bank that's just in their neighborhood and give the financial opportunities so that their dreams can come true too.
Come see us off Elm Avenue. TF&B, your bank for life.
All right, so that was word from one of our new sponsors, TF&B Bank. I want to thank them for helping to sponsor this content and helping us keep to highlight athletics here in Central Texas. So, Jalen, I got a chance to talk to Levi. Great career at Baylor. He's a great young man, and I guess that is attributable to his mother and his father. So, what did you think about his comments concerning that run that they had back in at Baylor a few years back?
Yeah, just brings a lot of good memories back of, like I said, what I call the glory days of Baylor football. Just the amount of athletes and teams that they were able to put together in about 5-6 year span, going from about 2010 to about 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. Just a lot of great teams they had there at Baylor. And Levi, as you can see, a very humble guy, but he definitely put up some numbers while they're at Baylor too. Like I said, top 10 in all of the punt return categories that Baylor has. So great guy, and it was just really nice getting to talk about some of those old Baylor things that we got to see those years.
So we're going to change gears a little bit. So we talked about Baylor athletics. Going to talk about some other things happening in sports here in Central Texas around a game that we've got coming up, broadcasting the Connolly Cadets versus Center. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Center High School. And you can't, if you're talking about Connolly, you can't help but look back and talk about that China Spring game that we witnessed a little over a week ago. Mm-hmm. What a game was that?
Yeah. What a great game. We got to see an overtime thriller. Came all the way down to the exact last play of the game with Coach Anderson going for 2 there, ready to just go ahead and get the game over with and get his guys back on the bus. And it ended up working out in his favor. Just like you said, just what a great game and what a great season for Conley and the things that they were able to overcome throughout the season. And the things that they were able to achieve throughout the season. They weren't able to get one of their goals of district title, but still coming up number 2 in a very, very tough district is definitely something to be able to hang your hat on. And it's going to be able to help them going into this playoff run that they hopefully have.
And I'll make sure I can't help but comment on that last play. If you didn't get a chance to see the call, you can see that on Twitter. And as you can tell, the broadcast booth was pretty excited about that last play. I haven't talked to, and we'll talk to Coach Anderson later this week to find out, was that a design run, or was that a pass design? Because we know when he comes out, he drops the ball.
Yeah,
it's a fumble snap, and it's 2 players on him. On us, this is Kavion Gaither. There's 2 players on him. He shakes these guys off and has the wherewithal to throw it to the end zone to Miles.
Yeah, Broncher Miles.
Broncher Miles. We messed up the call. Now, I know that there's going to be some people watching that may have saw us when we called the game live and we called the wrong name. I said it was LaMarcus McDonald. But it was actual Broncher Miles, but the numbers are 10 and 11. So I mean, yeah. And it was an exciting play, and I did send a text to make sure I knew it would get to him. Say, hey, we apologize. We missed that particular call. But what a play that was, and that was for a knockdown drag out. China Spring would just come down and score. First of all, they took a 17-point lead that they had on Connolly, and Connolly comes back, and then China Springs answers, and then Connolly answers, then China Spring answers, and it came down to really who had the ball last.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it came down to. Just like you said, just a knockout, drag out fight. And China Spring has got some great athletes on their side as well, and they're going to be a problem for some teams in the playoffs as well. And just to see those two teams in the rivalry game get to go back and forth like that, like you said, came all the way back from 17 points and then ended up taking the lead. And China Spring comes back, takes the lead, and then Conley takes it right back. China Spring takes the lead one more time, and it seemed like it was almost over. I think it was about a minute left, maybe a little over a minute left in the game, and they were able to get down the field, and Ralph Morales was able to get the kick in. Huge kick.
Huge drive. I think it was a minute 33 left. They have to drive the ball, I think, 65 yards to get into field goal range. And Ralph Morales, which had some issues kicking, but that particular time, that moment, he had the kick of his life to this point, and he'll never forget that. He'll never forget that when his team needed him to tie that game up and put it into overtime, he was able to hit a 30-yard field goal. Huge. I was real happy for that kid. Real happy for him. So Conley, they come through the season, and so now they've turned their eyes toward the playoffs. Now, this playoff game that's coming up, we are going to broadcast that game. But what you need to do, understand, all of our fans, is that because of UIL rules, we actually got the rights to the game from Fox Sports, so that we'll be able to show the Waco audience Conley, to get that game back to them. They'll play on Thursday in Madisonville, Texas. And so that game will only be shown on our website, centexsportsnetwork.com. We cannot put it on Facebook because of the license agreement that we were able to secure. However, you will be able to see that game, and make sure you let everyone know that they'll have to go to centexsportsnetwork.com in order to see that game. What are you looking forward to, Conley, being able to maybe do a little bit better, Jalen, in this playoff game that we hadn't seen much in the regular season?
Yeah, I think that towards the end of the season, Conley started to figure this formula out on offense. And I think especially in the last two games, but definitely in this last game, they got to get the ball in the hands of number one, Trey Wiseman. He's got to get the ball. Just what he was able to do on, I believe, last Friday or the Friday before that in that game against China Spring was just amazing. He had the last two touchdowns Conley scored was just touchdowns. Didn't have to have a drive, didn't need multiple plays. And then the play that got them into field goal range was a throw and catch from Wisner. So getting the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and they really been able to do that the last 3 or 4 games of the season. They started to take a little bit of the load off of Gaither and let some of these other guys like Wisner, like we just said, or like we've even seen some passes to Bronson Miles Jr. He's got some looks. Jermone Powell has come along as a very good number one back option as well. Jamari Wiggins. So just these different guys getting everyone involved. I believe when they do that, Conley has the type of athletes that can take them pretty far in this playoff run.
All right, we're looking forward to it. I want to thank Levi Norwood for coming by and stopping in and talking to us. As I said before, great young man. I'm excited to see what he has in the future. I forgot to ask him about coaching, and because coaching is, his dad is coach, assistant head coach, I think it is at UCLA right now. Yeah, so I wanted to maybe get a chance to talk to him about that, but we'll get him on another time to be able to talk to him about is he going to try his pedigree at coaching. We want to thank him. We want to thank our sponsors, new sponsors, TF&B Bank, for coming on board, helping us put this content out. Of course, I always think Ernest Barbecue, the best barbecue in Waco, Texas. And we want to thank Natoya Alexander with Keller Williams Realty and the Royalty Real Estate Solutions Group. And Jalen, any last words?
Yeah, guys, like we said, make sure you guys are following us on all of our social medias to just so you guys can be informed on different things. Like we said this week, the game will only be streamed on CentexSportsNetwork.com. So make sure you guys are going on there, subscribing, so you can get those type of alerts on Instagram, Centex Sports TV, on Twitter, Centex Sports. So just make sure you guys are going on there and following us on those different things.
All right. Well, there you have it. Again, thank everybody for tuning in. We'll probably have 2 or 3 more shows this week leading up to the big game. There will be a coach's show. We'll get Coach Anderson on a little later this week, and we just look forward to you guys, your continued support. If you are a business owner and you want to talk about possibly sponsoring what's happening here with the Central Texas high school and college sports, definitely inbox me. We've got room for you. We're trying to push out what's happening in athletics in Central Texas, and we definitely need your help in doing so. This has been Roy Gillis, your host, and Jalen Gillis, your co-host. Until the next time, we'll see you soon on Centex Sports Talk.